What's up everyone and welcome on back to the channel. Big Mouth's final season is coming out on May 23rd after a great run that started all the way back on September 29th, 2017. But this does beg the question, what's next for adult animated comedies for Netflix? How are they going to fill this hole in their catalog, because right now they don't have any other show that can fill it? Does this cancellation signal that Netflix is completely done with adult animated comedies? But before we get into all of that, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I put out new videos every single week diving into the film and TV industry, analyzing trends and analyzing film news, and I'd love to have you there. Please also don't forget to like this video as well. It really does help push these videos out into the algorithm and find more people like yourself. So thank you so much, but let's get into it. When Big Mouth came out, it was during Netflix's renaissance in my opinion. They were churning out content, spending billions of dollars a year, trying to build a library and build an audience for every type of person. Their adult animated comedy started off with Bojack Horseman back in 2014, and they really upped their animation division from there. They were clearly chasing their Simpsons or their Archer or their Bob's Burgers, as both Bob's Burgers and Archer used to exclusively be on Netflix when it came to streaming before Hulu came and took those shows back, and those shows did very well on Netflix. They likely wanted an animated show like that since these shows can go on for years and years without stopping. Family Guy is still going strong to this day, Bob's Burgers seems like there's no end in sight, and of course we have The Simpsons, which will never die. So it makes sense that they tried to chase this audience. It can build an audience that keeps coming back, it's relatively cheap to make, and it can go on for years and years, and you don't have to worry about actors getting old or kids aging out. And they really tried to create a new animation dynasty, similar to how Fox did it. They really started ramping up the production on these shows and releasing these adult animated comedies. Along with Big Mouth and Bojack Horseman, they released F is for Family in 2015 from Bill Burr and Michael Price that ran for 5 seasons until 2021. They released Paradise PD, which was released in 2018 and ran for 4 seasons. They also really tried to chase The Simpsons and the Futurama crowd, bringing in Matt Groening in 2018 and reuniting a lot of the cast from Futurama, where they made Disenchantment that ran for 5 seasons. These shows weren't doing phenomenal, right? Like, they weren't the top Netflix shows, but they were doing well enough to get more and more seasons. But none of them were as big as Big Mouth. Big Mouth is their biggest and longest running adult animated show, and it even spawned a spin-off with Human Resources back in 2022. And Big Mouth and Human Resources, especially Human Resources, could go on forever in theory, but they're ending it. And this, along with a look at their recent history, details that they are completely done with adult animated comedies. Inside Job came out in 2021 and only had 2 seasons, and then it was cancelled. Tuca Bertie was created in 2019 and was cancelled in 2022 after only 3 seasons. Captain Fall came out in 2023 and was cancelled after 1 season, even though they had an additional 10 episodes produced and were ready to be released. Q-Force came out in 2021 and was cancelled after 1 season. So what's left? They don't have any more adult animated comedy shows. They seemingly ramped up production and development for these animated shows back in like 2016 through 2021, because it does take a long time for these shows to be made. But then in 2022, they seemingly decided that they are actually done with adult animated comedies. All of their cancellations signal that they decided to move away from adult animated comedies in 2022. Not to mention they stopped marketing these shows as well. Personally, I had no idea Inside Job Season 2 came out, despite watching Season 1, and I was working at the company when this show came out. I had no idea about it. The only way I knew Season 2 came out is because I followed the creator on Twitter. They did not want to put any marketing dollars or any money that they have not spent into these shows already, because I think they decided that they are done with adult animated comedies. The Human Resources decision baffles me, even to this day. They decided to expand the Big Mouth universe, create a spin-off, and then they decided to cancel it after only 2 seasons. And Human Resources could have gone on for years and years to come. But with Big Mouth, I kind of understand why they wanted to end it. Big Mouth is a show about puberty and the characters aging through that, and they're kind of hitting the end of that saga, so I kind of understand why they canceled Big Mouth. Though, in theory, I do think that they could age up the characters if they wanted to, something that's really not done that much in animation, and continue on these stories as they go through college and adulthood. But Human Resources is a workplace comedy like The Office. That show can go on for 10 plus years. It's not like there's an expiration date on it. They can keep on working. So Big Mouth's cancellation, along with Nick Kroll's production company deal only lasting through 2026, tells me that they are potentially done. After this, there won't be any more adult animated comedies on Netflix. This could be for a number of reasons. One, the shows that came out weren't particularly that good. There are some great ones in there, don't get me wrong, but there are also some very critically panned ones as well, and it seems like they couldn't really figure out how to produce and develop these shows. Another reason could be that Netflix realized that they need to be frugal with their funds for once in their company's life. Their stock hit a record low around this time when they were canceling shows left and right, and this could be a temporary adjustment as they try to figure out their long-term strategy. They could also be deciding to pivot away from adult animated comedies and instead use those funds to fuel their adult animated shows and animes, which have been doing well. Netflix has learned that their platform and audience has a real hunger for these adult animated shows and anime shows like Arcane, Devil May Cry, Terminator Zero, and Attack on Titan. Which Attack on Titan is not theirs, but it does do very well on their platform. They also might just be admitting defeat here. These shows were primarily developed and produced during a time when they had a huge library of licensed animated comedies like Family Guy and Bob's Burgers and Archer. But then Disney bought Fox and moved all of those animated shows to Hulu. They might realize that they don't stand a chance against that library since it has a built-in audience and hundreds of episodes, and it would take them years to produce anything like that. So this could be them just rolling over and pulling up the white flag. So even though this is probably the end of adult animated comedies on Netflix, something tells me that they will be back. Netflix is seemingly figuring out things in terms of ads and growing their business and growing their revenue, and they know that this audience does exist, but they just might need to reconfigure out some things first. And with this business, all it really does take is one big hit to remind everyone that this audience exists, and everyone will flock to create their version of that. Let's take a look back at 2010, right? Fox was absolutely dominating adult animated comedies, as they still are, with Family Guy, The Simpsons, and Bob's Burgers. And then all of a sudden, Rick and Morty came out, and suddenly everyone wanted to have their own Rick and Morty. So it might just be a case of waiting for someone else to do it and for them to do it well, and then all these companies will chase that exact same show. And not all hope is lost. Netflix did recently announce that a brand new series from Nick Kroll called Mating Season will be coming out in 2026, but grain of salt here, this doesn't give me much hope since they haven't announced multiple seasons, and this could very well have been a show that was way too far along to shut down, and they didn't want to hurt their business relationship with Nick Kroll. This could very well be a one-season show, and then they plan to cancel it like all the other shows they've treated in this exact same way. But what do you guys think about all of this? Do you think there is more of a plan for adult animated comedies on Netflix in the future and this is just a low point? Or do you think they're done as well? Let me know in the comments. And once again, please don't forget to subscribe and like this video. It really does help push it out. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.